This is the Realme GT Master Edition, and this is the Poco F3. On paper, the F3 beats the GT Master in most categories, but in daily use, I think I might actually prefer the GT Master. I'll explain in this Realme GT Master versus Poco F3 review. First off, I've already reviewed the Poco F3, and you can check that out right here if you're interested. And if you want to see the full specs for each device, you can pause right now and take a look. In case you're not familiar, Realme is a budget brand under BBK Electronics, one of the largest phone makers in the world. And you might have heard of some of their other brands like OnePlus, Oppo, or Vivo. If that setup sounds familiar, that might be because Poco is similarly a budget sub-brand of Xiaomi, another huge phone manufacturer. So both phones come from large global smartphone companies. But how budget-friendly are these phones? At the time of recording, you can pick up the 6GB version of the GT Master for around $350 US, and the 8GB version for about $380. The Poco F3 can be found for about $380 for the 6GB model and $420 for the 8GB. Let's look at how the GT Master performs in the 5 areas I think are most important in a phone. Is the GT Master fast? Yes, but not as fast as the Poco F3, kind of. The speed of a device really depends on both the hardware and the software. So let's look at software first. I like the F3, but its MIUI for Poco operating system doesn't feel as fast as Realme UI running on the GT Master. As always, I've disabled animations and developer options on both devices, and as far as opening apps, browsing the web, YouTube, and just normal use, there's not much of a difference between these phones, except that on the F3, I'm still using 3-button navigation, and on the GT Master, I'm able to use gesture navigation. I prefer gestures, and the F3 has gesture navigation, but only for the stock Poco launcher, at least for right now. I have both phones running Hyperion launcher, and that's why there's a difference in navigation. One more thing to mention. For some reason, I still can't change my recent apps menu style to horizontal instead of vertical on my F3. I've seen that other users can, but that option does not exist in my home screen menu for the Poco launcher on the F3. I would prefer to switch to vertical, since that's how most manufacturers, including Realme, design the recent app screen. On the hardware side, the speed winner is the F3. Its Snapdragon 870 processor regularly beats the mid-range Snapdragon 778G in the GT Master, but often not by much. The F3 uses 128 or 256 gigs of fast UFS 3.1 storage, and there's conflicting data on what type of storage is in the GT Master, so I ran AndroBench and cross-platform disk test, and the results are pretty equal. The F3 uses 6 or 8 gigs of LPDDR5 RAM, just like the GT Master. How are the screens? Both are bright AMOLED panels that can easily be seen outdoors, but the F3 can get brighter at 1300 nits than the GT Master's 1000 nits. The F3 screen is also larger at 6.67 inches versus the GT Master's 6.43 inches. And I actually think the GT Master is a really good size for a phone. Big enough to enjoy games and videos, but small enough to be a little bit more comfortable than the Poco F3. Both run at full HD resolution and 120Hz, plus they have a touch sampling rate of 360Hz, which is a great addition for gaming. One big downside for the GT Master is that it only uses tempered glass on the screen instead of Gorilla Glass 5 like the Poco F3. So what about battery life? This is the one area where the GT Master clearly wins. Both phones charge fast, but the GT Master's 65-watt charger can take the phone from 0% to 100% in half an hour, while the F3 requires a full hour. That 65-watt included charger is great for someone like me who keeps the battery between 20% and 80% at all times and doesn't charge overnight. And though the F3 has a larger 4520 mAh battery, I think the GT Master with its 4300 mAh battery lasts a bit longer, but both still easily make it a day and a half with my normal use. By the way, if this video has been helpful so far, please give it a like. Thank you for that. Is the phone reliable? If we're simply talking about avoiding major bugs and annoyances, the GT Master wins. I didn't get to test the GT Master for too long, but I didn't see any major bugs. There was some weird transition animations when I was using Hyperion Launcher with gesture navigation, but that was really it. Unfortunately, the F3 has some issues. A bug that forces me to toggle airplane mode on and off every once in a while to reconnect to wireless network data that I thought had been fixed with a software update has returned, and I still have the problem of podcast player media controls disappearing and some other notifications occasionally vanishing. But the most critical category for my personal use is if the phone's compatible with US networks. The Poco F3 wins here as it's VoLTE compatible with T-Mobile and at least 3 T-Mobile MVNOs that I tested on: Red Pocket, Mint Mobile, and TextNow with their nationwide SIM card. I really thought the GT Master would be compatible since the F3 is, and they share key US frequency bands. But no, the GT Master is not VoLTE compatible. You can currently use it on any of the 3 MVNOs I just mentioned, but they will all switch to 3G for voice service, except TextNow for some reason, and I think that has something to do with the voice over IP aspect of their service. service. I still had access to 4G data on Mint and Red Pocket, but without VoLTE, you'll lose network voice capability when T-Mobile and AT&T shut down their 3G network. Speaking of AT&T, you might be able to activate the GT Master with AT&T or an AT&T MVNO, but neither Realme nor Xiaomi have any devices on AT&T's whitelist. So even if they activate these devices right now, you could possibly face some service issues next year. And if you use Cricket Wireless or Metro by T-Mobile, you're probably not going to be able to activate the F3 or GT Master at all. Just a few more things. Neither device will take flagship level photos, but I think the Realme wins in the camera department. Its main camera delivers sharper shots that are more color accurate and control highlights better than the F3. The F3 shots are overall brighter, and you do have more information in the shadows. Portrait modes are similar. Lastly, for night shots, the F3 pictures are much cooler and the GT Master's warmer, more accurate, and detailed. Video is similar, but the F3 has better stabilization. Audio is mixed, with the F3 having stereo speakers that are loud and sound good enough. The GT Master has just one speaker, and it's not very loud and it doesn't sound great, but it has a headphone jack, where the F3 does not. Oh, and the GT Master has a fast in-display fingerprint scanner as opposed to the F3's side-mounted scanner. I absolutely prefer fingerprint scanners in the display. So due to US network compatibility, I'll be sticking with my Poco F3. But if you're not looking to use the GT Master on a US network, and you don't need the better gaming performance from the Poco F3's higher-end processor, I would happily suggest the Realme. The GT Master has an operating system with Realme UI that I think is smoother and cleaner. Plus, at 65 watts, it charges really fast, and the phone is just generally fast and easy to love. If you're looking for a phone like the Realme GT, you should check out Mega Mobile USA's eBay store. They have devices from brands like Sony, OnePlus, and Asus with fast delivery and great prices. A link to their store is in the video description. If you have any questions about the Realme GT Master or the Poco F3, please leave a comment below. And as always, I will answer it perfectly.